4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Commissioner Marlin, we are looking at 6 out of 9 for quorum, 7 if we count Jeff for Sandy.
Jeff Horowitz.
That guest today.
Okay. Jeff, have you been named as an alternate?
Jeff Aiken is an alternate, yes.
Oh yeah, Jeff Aiken is here and he's an alternate. Okay.
Yeah, I know Jeff Aiken and Jeff Horowitz appear right next to each other. Jeff Horowitz is part of the sober living proposal.
Aha, thank you. Sorry for implicating you with a wonderful county to the north of me.
We might have 1, 2, 3. We might, here comes Sandy too, so we might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're at 8 out of 9 for quorum. Yeah, Potts, Atten, Marlin, Marie, Michael, Sandy, Tim, Demo. Yeah, we're at 8 out of 9.
Carrie Markle, I've seen some different interpretations. Some say go ahead and start with some updates and we need quorum by the time we're ready to take action. Or I've heard other interpretations as well.
Here's Chen.
Oh.
There's 9. We got Jamie. We got 9.
Well, we can pause my curiosity. We have a quorum. Welcome, everybody. Chelsea, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Chelsea. I'm the program manager for Gateway to the Rockies Opioid Council, also referred to as GROC. This is our March full council meeting. We're going to start with attendance and quorum. Commissioner Dahlkemper is coming in right now. I'll go ahead and go Commissioner Marlin.
Here.
Commissioner Hollingsworth.
I'm here.
Dan Atten or Luke Parr.
Dan Aiton's here.
Aiton, sorry, I think about that every time. Stephen Potts, Heidi McCollum.
Stephen Potts.
Thank you. Kevin Armstrong or Greg Demo.
Greg Demo present.
Thank you. Laura Weinberg or Chris Wolf. I know Janine won't be here. Tori Jantz or Troy Cooper. Eight, 9, 10. Dr. Story or Michael Miller.
I believe Dr. Story is planning to join, but I'm also here for now.
Thank you. Dr. Ryan or Emily Cooper.
Here.
Thank you. Marie Larson or Elisa Witt.
Marie is here.
Thank you. Mary Berg or Barb Weinstein, they will not be here. Sarah Cassano or Dr. Gillingham. Janie Barker or David Jocelyn.
This is Janie. I'm here.
Thank you. And then Kristen Heath and Judge Joan will not be here. So we do have quorum. There is a QR code on the screen and a link in the chat. If you are a non-voting member, please check in here. Your attendance and potential conflicts of interest will be read out in the next section. We have approval of the February 23rd meeting minutes. And I do want to call attention to a footnote on page 3 when we were talking about the state expense report. The 7-month delay is related to spend down times. At the state level, retroactive funding is permitted. This means that once an award is announced, so in our case, like June 23rd, 2025, recipients may begin incurring eligible expenses immediately, eliminating any delay in expending available funds due to contracting. That is not the case for GROC with Jefferson County as fiscal agent. While the contract execution delay was closer to 4 months, we also allocate approximately 3 months for contracting and do not allow retroactive expensing beyond 2 weeks prior to the time the contract is signed by all parties. As a result, there's effectively a 7-month period during which no funds can be expended. And then Carrie Markle joined GROC in November, not October, as stated during the meeting. That was the only footnote that was captured. We did update Laura Weinberg to the Golden Mayor instead of the Wheat Ridge Mayor, and Marie Larson as the Community Health Specialist in the previous minute. Looking for a motion or comment.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 23rd, 2026 minutes.
That was Commissioner Marlin. Is there a second?
Michael Miller, I'll second.
Thank you. We'll vote by opposition in the chat. Not seeing anything. We have conflicts of interest for today's meeting. All Jefferson County voting members have a conflict of interest due to GROC funding for Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and Jefferson County Public Health. All of our Clear Creek voting members have a conflict of interest due to GROC funding for the chat program and Mountain Youth Network. All Gilpin County voting members have a conflict of interest due to GROC funding for Gilpin County Sheriff's Office and Gilpin County Parks and Rec. We do have Jeff Horowitz in the room from SAFE Project. They are an implementing partner for the proposal on sober living bed availability tracker that will be discussed later in the meeting today. Rhiannon Strait is a research manager for Omni. Omni does receive GROC funding and they are part of our facilitation contract. Linda Behringer is an advisory committee member, the executive director of Just Living Recovery. Amber Dowers, senior grants analyst or the fiscal contact, is an employee of Jefferson County. Theodora Barchewski is the grant writer for Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. Any other potential conflicts or attendance? All right. Brief finance report. So we do have our total funding to date, which was a little over 18 million. Expenditures from 2023, 2024, and 2025. For the record, Dr. Story is here. Thank you. Expenditures 2026 today is a little over 2 million. We've obligated 9.8 million and we have unobligated 9.2. I think this should actually, it's allocated somewhere, but it's not obligated to something. The obligated means it is assigned to an award. The pie chart shows the breakdown by percentages in funding area: treatment, harm reduction, recovery, prevention, planning, admin, and then the not obligated. And expenditures, chat has done 213,000. They have 882,000 remaining. Denver Recovery Group has not yet invoiced. They have been keeping me up to date with issues in hiring staff. Oh, that's spelled wrong too. Lakewood Co-Responder Program just gave me an update that they are changing their approach to hiring staff. They also will be invoicing quarterly starting in May. Jeffco Public Health is also invoicing quarterly starting in April. Jeffco Sheriff's Biometrics is still pending the contract because of their duplicate award with congressional funding, so that nothing has been expensed there. Recovery Works, they were adjusting to the UNA system in that rollout, so we got late invoices for them, so they are not yet on our report, but we have paid them out, so that will be updated next month. Monarch was the lump sum up front. For the home purchase, Advocates for Recovery Colorado has invoiced $459,000. They have $171,000. Remember, that is a 1-year contract set for renewal this summer. Brazilians 1220 has invoiced almost $46,000. They have $331,000 remaining.
Dr.
Mountain
Chelsea,
Yes,
sorry to interrupt you.
no worries.
I'm probably forgetting something that happened with Advocates for Recovery where they appear to have been paid more than they were awarded.
Oh, that might be a typo. So this, I should probably change this. So they had, I think it was 650,000 over the 2 years because we rolled money over.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so they only have 360,000 in this year. So I will figure out how to present this in a more legible way.
That's fine. I'm happy just noting for the record that we're not paying Advocates for Recovery Colorado more than we committed to.
Correct. So they have 171,000 left in this year. They had the 650,000 over the 2 years with the rollover funds. So we are not paying them more. I will fix that for next month. Thank you. Mountain Youth Network has not yet invoiced. They have an amendment pending for their duplicate award for the EPIC grant. And then Gilpin County Parks and Rec, they had a delay with their van. They should be invoicing us in the month of April. EUNA is our grant management system. We pay yearly for that. So that was paid in October at the $17,000. The program manager line item to date is $136,000 with a balance of $188,000. And this is all council facilitation for the years of 2025 and 2026. Program evaluation Omni has been paid $22,000 and they have a balance of $97,000. We will be updating this because Omni did get the extension for facilitation, the amendment for facilitation. So that will be split across 2 different line items. Our emergency fund, our rapid release fund, we have not yet paid anything out of. The opioid settlement conference, that was $7,500 to the state conference in October, and then $3,750 for the national conference to send 6 people in June. And then the fiscal agency has $122,000 remaining. They have not yet billed to be a fiscal agent for GROC. General contracting progress. Everyone has started. JCMH Soterra Landing is still in red lines. I've asked them to start their contract at like a start of a quarter for tracking purposes. They are having reorganization internally that is causing a delay. They are also trying to time the award with the new market tax credits and when they file for that. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, pending the Congressional Funding Award contract first, that is going to have a lot more restrictions than the GROC award. So they are going to wait until that contract is signed before amending their budget with us and starting to expense with us. Mountain Youth Network does have an amendment pending for their budget post the EPIC award contract. 2026 is a summit planning year. This was previously called a conference, but because we do have a 150-person cap, that's really an invite only, so it should be called a summit. We are looking at October 29th. That is a Thursday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I messed with the agenda. I have it from like 7:45 to 4, but we can adjust some things. We are prospecting Red Rocks Community College. We are looking at roughly $300, which will only be for AV services. We don't have to pay for the room itself. We would cancel the October 26th council meeting. As I said, I'm looking at an attendance cap of 150. This keeps it manageable for me to plan by myself. Pre-registration, so by service area, so what county, what funding area, treatment, prevention, recovery. I want to get t-shirts. Lunch will be provided and like a breakfast coffee service. I'm anticipating to do pre-registration in May. We will do a remaining ticket distribution for July. And then if you just look at the Excel spreadsheet, that gives you a way better timeline here. So the first question is, do we want to keep this with the full council? Would we like to delegate the executive committee for this? Would we like to delegate a separate subcommittee for summit planning? I put some dates here for checking, but that would help me review the invite list, the agenda, going over and approving the budget. Floor is open. Commissioner Hollingsworth.
Yeah, my hand's up in a go backwards question. So I can do that now or wait till you're done with this section.
Go ahead.
I know in our last meeting we had talked about the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office with the biometric. I thought we had landed on that. We wanted to go ahead and start giving them some funding so they could start implementing. But did you just say they want to wait until they get the contract signed for the congressional funding? So they don't want us to give them money to help them get the ball rolling?
Yes. So my understanding of the discussion in February was that was the preference. But I had delegation to work with them directly on what that blend or braid would look like. And so because congressional funding has more restrictions, they do want to wait until they sign that contract before they sign a contract with us and lock themselves into something that might not work for congressional funding.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Chelsea, on the summit, I think the question is there anybody that is willing to, interested in helping plan this? I think particularly if you have strong opinions about how it goes, it would be helpful to have you there. But in general, is it accurate to say, Dr. Chelsea, that we could use some help?
Yeah, so Judy is helping me, one of the executive assistants in the commissioner's office. It's really like, so I have checks right now. I'm going to run the initial invite list and the agenda by the advisory committee, and then the executive committee, and then the full council would have the final say on the initial invite list and the initial agenda. In May, we would send out those initial RSVPs. I would sort them, then take it back to the advisory committee and say, this is how many tickets we have open. Who do we want to invite? Do we want to make it open to the public? That would go to the executive committee, and then it would come to full council June 22nd. And then same thing like with the budget and approving that right now, that is with the full council.
Chelsea, I'm sure a bunch of us will help on the day with setup and staffing the registration area and, you know, whatever you need that day. I guess, so what do you need ahead? Do you need?
If we want to keep the planning process with the full council, or we want to delegate those to the executive committee, like finalizing the invite list and the agenda and the budget. Do we want to delegate a subcommittee? Like maybe it's just me, the chair and co-chair can finalize all of these things and just report back to the full council.
So I'm okay with either the latter two you suggested. I'm not sure the whole full council needs to help planning because there's so many people. You know, the more people, the harder to make a decision. But if someone wants to be on the subcommittee and it goes to a subcommittee, that would be great.
I'm not hearing anyone jump up and down and say, we need regular updates for the full committee. And so I think my takeaway is that we don't need that. And maybe once we have a full budget, we come back to the committee just to approve the budget and the rest of it happens elsewhere.
That's what Commissioner Dahlkemper put in the chat. Delegate the planning to the executive committee and then finalize with the full council.
Sounds good.
So I will take that as a motion to delegate planning of the summit to the executive committee with a final vote by the full council. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second that. This is Marie.
Thank you. We will vote by opposition in the chat. Thank you. So I will review this with the executive committee at our April 13th meeting and our advisory committee on April 2nd. And then we'll kind of take care of all of that planning and report back to the full council. As a reminder, the April 27th meeting is being rescheduled to 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. That is going to be hybrid in Gilpin County and online. So we are shifting the meeting back 1 hour to accommodate all of our Jefferson County voting members and their State of the County event happening on the same day. Next agenda item is going to be our funding mechanism refinements. So our executive committee did user testing on our UNIS system. So they claimed their profile, they scored an application, and they gave us some feedback on what the application looks like and how the scoring happens. So a summary of updates that we have so far is that I did curate an uploadable budget template that aligns each line item with Exhibit E. So it's a very similar template to what we saw in the last RFA, because typing the budget in during the application process, I was like, this is not very descriptive. And a lot of the comments from the reviewers was that they need a budget narrative of some kind. They need more information than just the line item and a dollar amount. So I did curate that budget and I sent it out in the emails of what that looks like. We needed to update the legal disclaimer and just clarify the language of what a yes and what a no means. Because how it was casted right now is that I said, no, I don't have any legal issues to disclose, but it looks like, no, I'm not willing to disclose them. So fixing that language, we wanted to reorder the application prompts to establish the need first and sustainability of the project a lot closer to the end of the application. So it was closer to the order of our Word document. For justifying the special interest, we wanted to include the uses of special interest in the last question prompt that said, like, justify how this is a special interest project. We wanted to label the reviewer comment boxes because it just looks like an empty response that the applicant didn't fill out and not a space for the reviewer to leave comments on why they were rating it a 3 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5. And then we do want to include more directions on what folks should put in the project timeline. So they just added date and a milestone right now, and it just says that you have to have a start and end. But folks want more information on the project timeline. So any direction we can provide on, like, you should have one milestone for every quarter of the project. Some more directions there would be helpful. And from our executive committee, our user testing, any other comments on the UNIS system?
George and I are the Gabby ones today again. I really like it. I appreciate it because I think it's easy to follow. It's easy to enter information. I actually called George and said, "Where's the little drop arrow for the scoring?" And he he showed me, so he had learned it well. So I really liked it, and then it's changeable before you submit. I think some of what you just said would address, like, there was just empty boxes, and so in reviewing, you had to go back to the full application, you know, which usually you read that first and then go back, so it was more back and forth. And they didn't enter anything at all in the box. And then, like you said, more fleshing out for the milestones. And also I felt like in this particular example, the serving diverse populations was not spelled out for me at all. But I like the unit itself. I think it's really, really great.
Sandy, I ditto.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. I prefer it to the previous methods that we were using. I did find that I had to download the application and review everything first before actually going in and submitting comments. And that helped me not miss things, but I liked it. It was very user friendly.
This is all great feedback. So we do have an actual proposal to discuss, and that would be a special project proposal. So we have a discussion and vote. So this is a council initiated project that started when I joined GROC in late 2024. The council wanted some way to track sober living bed availability, create a network of sober living organizations within the Tri-County region, Region 10. So I've been working on this for the last year with some national partners and the sober living operators in Region 10. And so this application was used as our test application, but it is a real application. So we have a couple of options in how we review this today. And I do encourage the council to take a conservative approach. Per the SOP, the executive committee would score it. It would come to the full council, and we would decide if we want to continue with the scoring process, go right into the group discussion, or just end the conversation. So this application did score a 32.3, which on our ranking system is consider if funds allow. That would be up to a 3.4, and then 3.5 or higher is recommended with minor considerations. And the proposal proposes access to sober living housing is a critical component of recovery, yet individuals, families, and service providers across Region 10 often face challenges identifying available beds in real time. Information about sober living bed availability is currently fragmented, inconsistently updated, or difficult to access, creating delays in placement and increasing the risk of relapse during key transition periods. So what the proposal is suggesting is that GROC partners with SAFE Project, a national nonprofit in the addiction recovery space, to be the implementing partner who will contract directly with Behave Health, which is, they have a contract with NAR, the National Certification on Recovery Housing, to facilitate a system where sober living operators would log their beds, their homes, if they take insurance, priority populations or specialty populations that they have, and then they would create that system for us and give us quarterly reports based on the metrics that Behave Health track. So how many people did an internal referral, or they used the locator to find a bed themselves, an external referral, what houses they went to, what the turnover was, average income. But that is also a way for us to vet the sober living organizations that we should start to invest in. And so year one would be a pilot year. And then in year 2, we would submit a joint ROAC application for the state infrastructure share. There are several other regions interested in this specific project, but they don't have the capacity or the funding to run it. And then in 2 to 3 years, if we demonstrate continued success with the infrastructure award, if we don't get the infrastructure award, the individual ROACs participating would be expected to do a matching award or a percentage award. And then the Behavioral Health Administration is currently pursuing legislation to bring sober living certification back in-house, that they would just contract us to continue running the program, because at that point we would have all of the sober living operators in the state utilizing our program. All the ROCs would be involved. The total budget. So this is what the budget looks like in EUNA. It's not very descriptive. So I did build out, like I said, one of those templates that connects every line item to Exhibit E, provides more space for a narrative that folks will upload with their budget. We are looking at $334,964 over a 2-year period. Again, hoping that at the end of the first year, we would have a state infrastructure award to cover the rest of that. And I will pause there to see questions. Do all voting members want to review this application? Do we want to pursue maybe some more follow-up information about the application? The Sober Living operators in Region 10 were involved in early conversations. They have not yet seen the final proposal. So we could have a goal of the council is interested in. If sober living operators get behind it, we can have another meeting with the sober living operators, present the exact proposal to them, see what their interest is.
Another quiet bunch today. So I'll just weigh in that I would like to have them fill in the blanks for the things that we discussed as missing information. Because I think that if that information was provided, it might raise their overall score if others score it. And I know we've done the resubmits with previous applications, and this one doesn't seem time sensitive, like it's not really pressing that they start right away, like there's some leeway there. So for all those reasons, I think getting some more information would be good.
Yeah, and I think a revise and resubmit is completely appropriate because this is the first time we are using this application process. And so as I told the executive committee, even when I was filling out the application, I noticed a lot of gaps that we could fill in. So I can definitely go back, revise and resubmit that information from the comment.
I think that also communicates to them as an applicant that we're interested as a body, we're interested, we just want more information, and in asking, we're showing that we're interested.
So to clarify, I am the primary applicant because this is a council initiated project, and I've worked with Safe Project in the past. They work with Behave Health. They already have a national sober living locator. Having an implementing partner helps with capacity and protection of private and personal identifying information. So I'm doing the application on behalf of Safe Project. So I can work with them and Behave Health to get some of that other information. Linda did leave a comment as an advisory committee member is I think it would be beneficial to hear from the sober living partners. Yes, so like I said, the sober living organizations were involved in the earlier conversations, but they have not yet seen the final proposal. So we are at a point where I can take the proposal to them to get some of that missing information from the reviewer comments before I do that revise and resubmit to the council.
Thank you. That sounds good to me. I think the compelling pieces of evidence would be that what we know, I think on our side, is that there's a need for people to find sober living places to stay. What would be helpful would be to hear from the sober living places that they have capacity, and it's like it's just due to coordination challenges and awareness. And I think maybe this is why my score, I think, was kind of significantly higher than the average. And maybe it's because my training in economics kind of gives me a hunch that it's easy for these coordination failures to have big systemic impacts, right? This is like a huge part of how we explain unemployment. It's just people figuring out where there are jobs and employers figuring out who's looking for jobs. That's why I like this, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's not a need.
In the interest of time, would it be fair that we are interested in this proposal? We're at a revise and resubmit. The next step would be to take this proposal and the reviewer comments to a meeting of sober living org operators, and then get some of that fill in the blank information and do the revise and resubmit to go back to the executive committee.
I think so. I haven't heard anybody express any other opinions. Does that take a motion?
Yes, I will take a motion.
I move that we take the path that Dr. Shoremiller articulated. And now we would need someone to make a second.
This is Dan. I'll second it.
Thank you. We will vote by opposition in the chat. All right. So we will keep you updated on the progress of this proposal. We do have some standard operating procedure amendments. They are pretty minor. The executive committee has not yet previewed these, so we can have an option of sending it into the executive committee for a more detailed review. But all I did was update the processes of rapid response, cross-regional collaboration, and special interest projects to include a written description of the process that reflects the general application that we voted on. So complete the application on the GROC website. I will do the primary scoring and present that to the advisory committee, who will make a recommendation of advance or stop the application. That recommendation will go to the executive committee, who will also determine if they want to score the application or stop it with my preliminary score. If the executive committee decides to advance the application, they will score the application, require 100% response rate because there's only 5 folks. And then if passed, then the application will be discussed at the next full council meeting to determine if we're going to do a revise and resubmit. We want just to stop the application, or this is great. The evaluation is the analytic rubric that was previously reviewed by the council and approved by the executive committee. So it would have to meet these thresholds to kind of keep advancing through the process. Same thing with special interest projects is the same process right there. Then that I included that rubric with the score interpretation. And then page 21. And then here's the rapid response. I included that rubric. And then I just updated the policy that we are going to move our accrued interest, our rapid response funding is going to be pulled out into our accrued interest. And then we will reassign it into an Exhibit E aligned strategic plan once awarded. So I just added where the rapid response fund will be located. The floor is open for questions, comments, concerns, a motion.
Chelsea, I have a question. I was going to bring it up in the next topic, but it kind of plays in. Do we have a mechanism where the executive board or the council itself might bring forward a suggestion that would help fund something for each county without going through every county doing an individual application? And I'll give you the example that made me think of this. I was listening, and there was a story about drug-infused paper and how it's making its way into the jails, and it's really hard to detect, but people are choosing to use it. I guess they smoke the paper, and in doing so, people are dying. So I was wondering about if we, as an opioid council, wanted to fund, if there even is, a detection device for that type of thing for each of the jails, how we would go about doing that instead of each of the jails requesting them separately, because it would be beneficial and could reduce opioid and drug exposure and potentially deaths. So, and I don't know that we have anything like that in our mechanisms.
So that would be a special project initiated by the GROC Council. So I would say first we need to decide who would be the primary applicant, if that would be me on behalf of the 3 jails. We should probably schedule a meeting with our law enforcement reps from each county or make it an agenda item at a full council meeting if folks are interested in that. And then I would probably work with the jails, our jail reps individually on drafting the proposal and bringing it to the council, just like we did with the sober living home operator one. So we do have a mechanism for that.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if there's anything that detects that specific drug-infused paper, but I know there are devices that some law enforcement have and others don't that detect drugs coming in.
Yeah, I think, and Rhiannon, if you can weigh in on this, we would need to check with the state if that would be an allowed use, because law enforcement does have, they have the Exhibit E approved purposes with a separate approved purposes list for law enforcement, and it can't be anything that could potentially be used as punitive. So like the drug scanners can be used by Michael Miller's team because they're a harm reduction office, but the drug scanners cannot be used by the Jeffco Sheriff's Office. That would not be an approved use. So same tool, but different implementing organization. So we would also have to check with the state if we could get something like that.
I just want to weigh in briefly and say that this is pretty niche and I would want to double check. So Chelsea, nothing to add that I know of, that I've heard of anyone else doing something similar. And I think you're totally right in just making sure that the additional precautions around law enforcement spending are taken into account when deciding to move this forward.
Okay, but at the very least, it was a discussion that was helpful to me because we have a mechanism. If something comes up that would be allowed, that could support all of the jails or law enforcement or, yeah, something that all the counties have as an entry point, but could potentially reduce exposure and deaths. So thank you for that.
And then Commissioner Marlin did
Thank you,
put
Sandy.
some information in the chat on the unique paper that Commissioner Hollingsworth was just talking about.
I Googled it because I had never heard of it before. So, Dr. Shoremiller, let me ask you, what you were asking us about? Yes, SOP amendments. Have folks had a chance to review those? Any concerns?
And Chelsea, you were asking if we want to approve this today or take it for more discussion?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve all of the proposed amendments to the standard operating procedure, and leave it at that.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Marlin. We will vote by opposition in the chat. And I'm not seeing any, so those specific amendments have been approved. So that does lead us into how we want to approach 2026 funding. We have only highlighted the special projects application and rubric, even though the applications are very similar, because the council did want more of like a general application. So they are very, very similar. They're still different. I did use almost the same rubric for special projects in the cross-regional collaborations. Do we want to open these supplemental funding mechanisms now? So open the floodgate. Do we want to open one of them? Do we want to wait until we user test these specific rubrics and applications?
It seems to me like we want to finalize a rubric until we open cross-regional collaborations. Is anybody knocking on the door right now?
No, that is, you have to be a participating local government in Region 10. So like if the city of Blackhawk wanted to do a project, they donate their money into the regional council because it's not a whole lot. They would come to me, talk about this idea. They would go through the cross-regional collaboration application, or they have to be another ROAC. So like Region 8, Adams County, and they want to do some type of collaboration, that would be here. So this is a very niche mechanism.
One more question. Have you asked about this application that we just considered a moment ago? Have you you did say that you explored this with other ROACs, right?
Yes. This initially started in Rhiannon's time as the facilitator with Region 8 Adams County. They were having a hard time identifying a sober living organization to invest in. We have a lot of them, and that shaped this application. They just don't have the capacity, like even just finding time to do a 30-minute meeting with them is very difficult. So that's where I just led the project. And then they are interested in the pilot and pursuing a COAG infrastructure share or paying us to continue facilitating it and just include their operators and giving them quarterly reports.
This might sound silly, but if someone does knock on the door, I'd like for us to be able to, ask who's there. I don't know that we need to advertise that it's open, but I'd like for us to be open for cross-regional collaboration.
Carrie, I'm gonna channel Eric Butler. I think we are supposed to say it's open if it's open.
Right.
That does
Yep.
have to, yeah, that does have to go on the website. But it is super niche, like I said, very niche. We can wait, that way the executive committee does have delegation to approve this. You can look at the rubric at the April meeting, and then we can open it in April. So we can open 2 of the 3, the rapid response and the special projects, or we can open just special projects and pilot, do another like user test on a rapid response application.
I'm going to weigh in and say I like that, and I don't think we're ready to open the cross-regional because it's not finalized. And I think there's more discussion because the cross-regional part of the discussion is funding other ROACs in partnership. But if we're not seeing a direct benefit to our region, that to really kind of wordcraft that more. But I say open the special projects and then finish up this rapid response.
Do you want to user test this?
I'm struggling to think what that looks like. Does that mean we basically like invent an application just to see how it goes through? Like you just like write something that's not real?
I would try to locate someone who potentially has a rapid response need and work with them to create an application, like a real application. Otherwise, yes, I would make up a fake application to go through it. Carrie, would we be able to like tentatively open it? So basically like open it until we get one person that we think qualifies for it and just have them apply as like a user test. So they might go through like 2 or 3 iterations of like a revise and resubmit, where typically we would just have one.
I think it would be better probably in that description to do a fake, because then you get into issues of why did we select this one to apply for real money.
So the options are to do a fake one or open it up. I defer to you, Chelsea. I lean towards just opening it up but I defer to you. What's your advice?
I think if people are comfortable with the application questions, the rubric, the feedback that we got from our special projects application in the user testing, those will transfer over to these other mechanisms. I think we can open it. We do have pretty strict, Dr. Ryan, I'm channeling your voice about opening the floodgates. We added those restrictions of like what is allowable, what's not allowable, the supplantation. They have to describe how they fit rapid response. So I think it is a lot more structured than when the first individual came to us.
I think we've also talked about trying to get new people or new agencies to apply, not currently funded or ones that are running out. That's always a concern, I think, just with this whole effort with the opioid money is those that don't know. And those that do know will keep applying. So how to get the word out more. Another thought is one or more elements of this could be launched at, the state, when they have the state opioid conference, is to explain it then and launch it. Just that this is an approach that we're taking.
We do have it posted to our website. There is a page funding opportunities. And then it says when it's open, what it's used for. And then I would put the link to the application here when it's ready. And realistically, it's going to take about a month because EUNA still has to build out the application. The only one that's built out right now is this one. So we could even say in the approval, have EUNA build these out, and then we revisit the conversation in April if they're ready to be opened.
I see Rhiannon's hand up.
Thank you.
I couldn't see my own hand up, so thank you for validating that it was up, Commissioner Marlin. I just wanted to offer what I have seen happen in the other region that's doing something similar around this rapid response. And we also struggled at first to pick up some momentum. I think to Commissioner Hollingsworth's point about how people didn't quite know that it was an option or what type of need matches the option. But once one person applied, word kind of got out into the community, and we have seen like a massive influx of additional rapid response type applications since that very first one happened. So I'm just sharing this, thinking that it might be really smart to like have the EUNA path built out. So once you do officially open it, all of our like process mechanisms are in place in the event that this is a floodgate type scenario and we get more than one like speedy need at a time. That's the other thing about these is that like we want to get the money out quickly. And so I think it would make a lot of sense to have the scaffolding behind the scenes fully ready.
So the special project one that one's already built out in EUNA. So we can open that one. You can give me the go ahead to build the rapid response application and rubric in EUNA. It will take them about a month. And we revisit the conversation of do we open it or not at the April 27th meeting. And then we can go into the cross-regional collaborations. That rubric will go to the XCOM April 13th. It could build out in a EUNA, revisit opening in May.
My only feedback to what's here in writing is I guess I would ask the other members of the committee whether you want to have it be on the April agenda or not, because we could just, and if the conversation is going to be like this one, it might not be a great use of everyone's time to bring it back. We could just delegate it to the executive committee.
Dr. Ryan?
I think it needs to be abundantly clear with maybe some examples of what qualifies as rapid response and what does not, to save everybody a lot of time if we do get inundated with applications, 99% of which don't even remotely qualify. Just saving everyone a lot of time and effort. I see Rhiannon shaking her head in agreement.
It makes all the sense in the world. I'm curious, sorry, Dr. Shore, do we think that what's written here on screen is adequate, or do we think we should make some changes there first?
Yeah, I was going to say, Dr. Ryan, the initial conversation was that we did not want to define emergency or rapid response for people. We wanted them to have the burden of it. So there is an application question where they have to explain the imminent threat against the criteria for using this mechanism. And then applications
Well,
are due.
Maybe we get that first. That's the initial box, right? You're a go and save them time from applying when it's a no, right? So maybe that the first process is defining that question or answering that question, and then we give them a green light or no.
Yeah.
In terms of applying.
Oh, so you want to do like a 2-stage where they fill this out. So how I had originally scaffolded it was their application is due the 1st of the month. Only the first 10 applications will be accepted. Then they move over into the next month. I will do the preliminary scoring, and then those scores will be taken to the advisory committee for recommendation, and then the executive committee for recommendation. So if they score below a 4, the recommendation is that no, try again later. If it's a flat 4 or higher, then we need to talk about, okay, do we keep moving forward with this application? That was how I initially scaffolded it. I can restructure this whole process to basically submit a letter of intent that answers the imminent threat question, and then that would go to the executive committee, who would approve them doing an application or not.
Sandy?
Yeah, I can't see my hand either. It's just the way this works. I actually like Michael's thought. It's a lot of work to do an application. And I think that if you're gonna score based on the 4, so if you score it low and you still take it to the advisory and they score it low, it'd be better just to let the entity know that it doesn't meet the criteria for this bucket of funding before they do all that. That's why I like that thought.
And Rhiannon, I wasn't sure if that was a new hand or an old hand.
You're the best. It was old. I've lowered it now.
Okay. I do, I guess I've got a good eye for yellow hands. I think my preference is to go, really appreciate what Dr. Ryan is saying, to go with like a letter of intent model before we open it. Just like a quick, what's your argument, establish you have an emergency, and then we invite you to apply if we think you've met the threshold. Are you comfortable with that, Dr. Shore-Miller? That might involve less scoring than you might be comfortable with, but
Yeah, that's it would, yeah, that would completely change the scoring process, because now the score is only one criterion, yes or no, or, well, 1 to 5 on one criterion.
it would be 1 and 2, maybe. If you can establish that you meet 1 and 2, then we maybe even 1, 2, and 3. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what I would ask for right now is that, I mean, the executive committee has this delegation, is that I'm going to revise this process, speak with the UNA on kind of like what the build out would look like, and I'll bring it back to the executive committee at our April 13th meeting. And so we can kind of probably looking at like May or June when we open rapid response with this new 2-phase criteria.
Okay, I think this is wise, because really, I mean, we don't want to open it up and then be scoring 50 applications. This is probably a better use of our time, given that risk. And I mean, I don't know if y'all saw, the legislature now has $1.5 billion to cut out of their budget. A lot of agencies that do this work will be impacted, and so time management is going to be of the essence, I think.
Okay, so I have those notes. That does kind of take away our previous SOP amendments. So we did not accept the rapid response one, but we did accept the other 2. I have the notes for rapid response. So our approach to 2026 funding is that we're ready to open the special projects and anticipate about 2 weeks for those changes in a unit to take place. I will update the council in April how that goes. We are going to work on revising the rapid response process and bring that to the executive committee in April. We will revisit cross-regional collaborations in April with the executive committee and probably May with the full council. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you. I'm going to give you back an hour. I'm so excited. Normally I'm like pressed for time in our meetings, but I think we have a great flow with this 3-stage process. So our advisory committee is going to be April 2nd. That is virtual from 11 to 12. The executive committee will be April 13th, again, virtual from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. The next full council meeting, again, is hybrid. This should be 2 to 4, not 1 to 3. It's 2 to 4. I will send you multiple emails reminding you what that is. And then I will work on, keep an eye on the GROC calendar for an update on the sober living proposal operator. I'll host a meeting sometime between now and end of April with our sober living operators. I see Rhiannon.
Dr. Chelsea, I just wanted to flag, we had a couple of comments in the chat earlier that said there were links that were broken in our GROC calendar. So just want to make sure we address those for next meeting.
Yes, I got that note. Thank you.
Awesome.
And that's it. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy spring all.
Thank you.